Cincinnati, and the daughter of civil rights activist Dr. Stephen Reece Sr. and the late Barbara Reece, who marched for me 50 years ago.
A champion for voting rights.
We're going to bring you people that know about business. We're going to bring you people that know about what's going on in the tech. Put some soul into this whole tech thing that's going on.
She's a fighter for the people.
Welcome, Reverend Al Sharpton, to the show.
Congratulations on your show.
She's authentic.
We're bringing Joe Madison, known as the Black Eagle.
Congratulations on having the show. Nothing is more important than the local programs that engage our communities.
She's a proud HBCU grad. It's time for Alicia Reece's Soul Food, Food for the Soul, on Cincinnati's 24-hour urban gospel connection, Inspiration 1050 AM and 103.1 FM, WGRI.
And hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. It is Juneteenth, and it is Father's Day weekend, and we've got a special show, special guest. Of course, I'll talk a little bit later about the Knicks winning. I told y'all the Knicks were going to win. The Knicks winning. They had their parade today. And so we're going to have two special guests, but I want to get right into it. We had a Juneteenth celebration, second annual, the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame in conjunction with the Hamilton County Library. We had it at the main library. And last year was great, but this one went even bigger. We're talking about upgrade to the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame exhibit that is at the library. We had a major kickoff with that. We had the ribbon cutting. We had DJ Don Juan. We had dancing. We had the Q Kids from the West End do a performance and dedication to Hal Davis, who was the writer of the Jackson 5's Dancing Machine. And we had autograph posters. We announced again our inductees this year, WCIN Radio. As man, that's an institution in itself. And we also announced Heat Wave as our inductee as well, along with our Legacy Award winner this year is going to be Regina Bell, New Edition, live entertainment on Saturday, July 25th. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But this was the library, and I launched the library card challenge, and you guys stepped up. People were getting library cards, young people, older people. It was just an amazing celebration. So I want to bring on Paula. Are you there? From our who runs our whole library system throughout Hamilton County. And I always say, this is not my grandmother's library, because I know my grandmother took me to my first library in the West End, and she would always be like, shh, you can't talk too loud. And then I would go to Westwood, which is where I got my first library card. And even there, we had to whisper and tiptoe. And our libraries are just so, I think they're just like centers for the entire community, where people could come, they could read books, but there's so much more. So I gave Paula a challenge. I said, Paula, they did it in Brooklyn, and I believe we can do it here. And we just did it just even bigger. We had a packed house, and we did it again, Paula.
That's right. Jay-Z has nothing on us. He can go to New York in their library, but I mean, that was a great day. Thanks, Commissioner Reece. Great to be here. And we certainly did have a good time. It is not the library of my childhood. And I think that's a good thing, because, information and the way our communities work together and collaborate, it's really changed. So it's a recognition of that. And this event is great because we're celebrating Juneteenth. We're celebrating the Black Music Walk of Fame and all the culture here in our city that I don't think that many people really realize all that we have to offer and all that we have offered for many decades. So it's a great way to really bring that home in a fun environment. It's not the wooden chairs from when I would go to the library and sit there and everybody had to be quiet. It is quite a bit different. We still have quiet areas, that's for sure, but it's a different kind of experience, and it really is a community center. You said that spot on.
Yeah, well, I just want to really, like I said, Jay-Z has nothing on us, and people were there. They were dancing. There's a packed house, and we had multi-generations of folks that came together yesterday. And, we had the Q Kids. We had other youth groups that were there. youth group come out of Lincoln Heights. They came. We have seniors that were there. We had influencers, music influencers and entertainers that were there. And it was just to have it under all one roof in the library. And it's so important. I wanted to really partner with the library. With the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame, we had that on the Ohio riverfront. But I would get people wanting to, I've got this and I would like this to be displayed. I'm like, we're outside. I can't display gowns and all this very, very precious artifacts of history. And I said, man, we got to have a library because that's where the official records are kept. And so we took our stars there, the original stars, when we first did the stars, original design of our 4 founding inductees are there. And that's Boosie Collins, Dr. Charles Fold, the Isley brothers, and Otis Williams of the Charms. So those are the originals. But then you've got, Dottie Peoples' original dress that she wore in her getting her first Stellar Award, and on national TV. And I found my mother. I didn't know what to do with my mother's first dress when they announced that she would be coming from the West End and being on the national Mike Douglas show in New York. And all of the people in the community were so excited watching because they're like, she's one of us. And so you have all that. You have Bootsy Collins, things that you have there. You have stories for each of the inductees, some of the influencers. I mean, it's just an incredible exhibit.
That's right. That's right. And you mentioned the stories. So that's another thing that I just think people maybe don't realize. We are trying to pair the things that people see in person and capturing the narrative and the stories of folks who have lived some of this history, know people that were really involved. And I think hearing it from their firsthand experience is so valuable. The library has a tradition of doing that with our veterans. And now we are adding this real legacy. And again, from the people who lived it. And you mentioned the West End. We did the West End Stories Project. This idea of trying to bring together an exhibit, but also capturing what the people who were part of those real scenes, that real culture, that real history here that seems so far away sometimes. But when you hear people talk about it, it's amazing. And Commissioner Reece, I don't think I had a chance to tell you this, but one of the individuals who was associated with WCIN, he was heading out at the end of it, big smile on his face, older gentleman. So you mentioned it's multi-generational. He clearly had a great time. And he said to me, well, now I feel like Clark Kent. And I said, well, what do you mean, sir? And he said, well, when I'm out there, I'm Clark Kent, but coming in here and reliving all this, I feel like Superman. So I'm Clark Kent and Superman. And this was a great afternoon where I got to be Superman again, just like when I would be on the radio. So, I think some of our older folks feel like maybe people don't remember that. They don't recognize it. They don't feel that. They don't get to be Superman the way they used to. And we have that little WCIN station. Yeah.
People love that. And I hope we could get something. And your team just was like, we got the right idea. And people could come and sit there and relive when they were on the air, because WCIN doesn't exist anymore, and take photos. And like you said, be interactive and hands-on. And it just brings back a lot of memories, because you are so right. These folks had major influence on what gets on the air and what doesn't get on the air. And now, like you said, they've gotten older and they feel like the station's not around anymore. And they feel like, people may have forgotten. But what I love about the library is, like I said, the official record. And then I love what you're doing now. We had a booth, like you said, you could go in, and because people will tell people stories on, when they see them. And, hey, I want to tell you this story. And I'm like, hold it. This needs to be recorded, because it can't just live with an individual and die with an individual. But if they go in, they're on video camera, they can, like you said, tell us the behind the scenes. Tell us what really happened. How did you do it? And it can be encouraging. As I said, we had young people there. We had younger artists up and coming. Maybe if they hear their stories, they'll say, oh, I'm not going to give up now on my dream. Oh, it wasn't easy, but this is how I could overcome. And it's just inspiring and people can go to the library's website and hear directly from the person what actually happened. And I think that is just so cool, Paula.
I agree. And I mean, you and I both know that really that's an emotional connection. And I love books and I love reading, but people like to hear it. And in today's world, we got people listen to audiobooks and listen to stories and podcasts. And this is a way, I think, to really cross that generational divide and connect in a different way. Because when you hear the person telling it,
yes.
And that's that's the record that's going to be there. And someday we all won't be here to tell our stories, but that will live on. And I'm always surprised, and maybe even surprised with myself, how, I'm from Cincinnati, lived a couple other places, came back, but I don't know that I ever realized until we kind of got into all of this, it is such a center of music and Black music, success and culture. I just don't know if people really appreciate it. So I think it's important for us to do that. And I see people come in at the library and look at that. And I told you, sometimes I run the races down at the riverfront and I see people walking through the Black Music Walk of Fame as they're waiting to start the race. And, I think it hits them that, wow, yeah. And folks who maybe think, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make my dreams come true. Then they see these people, and some of them are there at the library. They walk in and they see them, and there they are. And the library has a recording booth over in our makerspace. So, we got to get people over there like, yeah, come here and then record your song, because you never know. Time to practice and get creative.
Yeah, no, those are so many great ideas. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure is that we're pushing library cards. And that's my thing. I want people to have library cards. And people may have had a long time ago and they don't have the new style library card. And the library card is not just the books. Like you say, you have audio books, you have streaming, you have all kind of perks that you get by having the library card. So one of my challenges was library cards, and it was a line of folks.
Oh yeah. You got him going. Your dad was right there in the front. You gave him a shout out, and he had his new blue library card. So that really kicked it off. And we had so many people. We're like, gosh, we need to have a special station so these folks can get a new one or get a replacement. Sometimes we see people are like, well, I had one, I don't know where it is. So they were real proud to get there. I had several people come up and show me their Don Juan showed me his on his phone. He uses the ebooks and everything. So he's like, oh yeah, I got a card. It's right here. So, I really think that brought people out. And I know that we had a lot of young kids. You mentioned the Q kids who were amazing. So many people really getting involved in that excellent fun part, and just the talent. And then we had a couple of other kids come in, and boy, they were lining up and getting their pictures and getting their cards and asking how they could do it. So I really think it revitalizes people's interest in the culture, the music, and then the library and being connected. Because, that's what we're all about, right? It's being a connected community and really finding those connections and bringing forward that shared history we have, and celebrating it.
Absolutely. Well, I wanted to thank you again. It was a huge success. The exhibit is a permanent exhibit. It's down there. People can check it out. I'm still challenging folks on these library cards. The Q kids, this was their first ever library card. And they were so excited.
They were amazing
for their library cards. They were happy.
They were amazing. I'm wearing my summer reading T-shirt. I don't think you can see it, but I thought, boy, we got to get these kids out there advertising for the library, because they are so talented and so excited and happy. And I really got to say thank you, because people had a great time. And just before we go, I did check out my statistics, and I'll tell you, at the main library on the day we had this, we had well over 2,000 people. And during that time we were having our celebration, we had really the heat map is dark red, because everybody was there having a good time.
Yay! And let me tell you, the posters, the limited edition posters, and I think it's so important, that makerspace is so wonderful and critical. Because I hear people say, hey, I got a small business, or I got a youth group, or I got an idea. And you can go to the makerspace and get all of those things put together. And we had some outstanding posters, the autographing. Everybody loves that, autographing that's set up. So I just want to, again, thank you. And the partnership with the library is critical because we want to make sure that the whole thing is about bringing the legacies back home. A lot of people see these artists and they might see them at the Grammys, see them, and they just think, oh, they're not from here. And they are. And so we're bringing all those legacies back home, reclaiming our legacies and bringing them back home. And that's why this year the theme is homecoming. So I've got so many people, that people who were some of our people that we're honoring, they don't live here anymore. Some of them live Japan, live in LA. They came in and they're like, I got to come back. I watched you on the stream. I got to get back to the library. Boy, this is a different type of library. You guys are having a great time and people coming together. And, particularly so many people have so much to be, down about. Maybe it's their health. Maybe they're grieving. Maybe they lost someone. And this was kind of like bringing everybody back. Homecoming, they were hugging and
absolutely, and
it was great.
And a lot of our older folks are lonely. You mentioned all the ways maybe they're not having every day isn't the best day they ever had, and I think we see the epidemic of loneliness all the way. And I agree with you. And some of those folks look like they hadn't seen each other in a while, and they were talking and just really, again, feeling like Superman, and that's a great thing to do for our generation. Who gave so much to us. So I agree, and I really appreciate it. And we're going to keep that library card challenge going, right? We're going to.
This is still going. No,
that's right.
That was just the kickoff.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to I'm going to have a challenge out there. I challenge everybody: get your library card, take your picture, post it, and tag us.
Oh,
so everybody knows that you got your library card. We walked to that door. My dad, of course, was the first. He's like, I'm getting over here before there's a long line. I need my library card updated. And he's been putting it up. And then other people are like, you got your library card? I got to get my library card. So we're going to continue that challenge as we continue. We'll be talking about it too at the July 25th event. We'll be back on the 24th, and those inductees that from out of town will get a chance to see the exhibit. So I just want to thank you. I want to thank your staff.
Thank you.
And I just want to thank you so much, Paula.
Thank you, Commissioner Reece.
I know you're busy, but thank you. This is Juneteenth.
That's right.
Claiming these legacies, recording these stories,
and
inspiring dreams.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you, Commissioner Reece. Always a pleasure to talk to you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you. So we had this is Juneteenth. I want y'all to see the pictures from the library. We had a crowd, and people were there signing autographs, young, older, radio personalities, music influencers. That's we got a limited edition poster. People were autographing. It was just amazing. I think we had their youth groups that were there. We had a lot of youth groups partnering. And it was just so good to see the youth and the elders together. And so, again, it was a great, great event, a packed house. And I thank God for holding the weather because it was supposed to be a big thunderstorm. He didn't allow it to happen. It was sunny. It was beautiful. I don't know if we got any pictures. Somebody with a library card. Oh, there go my girls, the cute kids. They all got their library cards. They did a dedication. Michael Jackson, the Jackson 5. And Hal Davis, who is from Cincinnati. He was one of the co-writers of one of their breakout hits, Dancing Machine. And so you can learn more about him at the Walk of Fame. But these are the cute kids. And I just want to know if anybody out there who can help them, we got to get these kids a van. Their director, Miss Marquisa, has been doing it out of her own pocket for almost 44 years. And when I asked them to participate, they said, we'll walk up there. I said, you're not walking in the hot sun. And so they miss out on some things because they don't have transportation. So if anybody could help them, let us know. I want these kids to have transportation. There are studios in the West End. There's been shootings and killings in those areas right near their studio. But she keeps them out of trouble. She keeps them no drug policy, not getting pregnant, going to college. I mean, we have to wrap our arms around people when they're doing right. We don't have to wait. They do wrong, then we got them all over. They get all the attention. But when you do something right, all of a sudden people don't have time for you. So if you're out there, you know how to get these kids a van, let us know. I want a van for the cute kids. They're in the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame on the video every night, 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. You can see them dancing, and you can see them in my documentary from Alicia Reece from the Rocks, the building of the Walk of Fame. And one of them is acting, and she plays me at a young age. And so shout out to the Q Kids. I've been knowing them since 2016. So wanted to share that. But yeah, we got people with library cards. They were walking out with the library cards. Keith Little, our 2026 influencer, he signed up and got a library card. I mean, Abyss Childs, Jeter, former vice mayor of Lincoln Heights, she signed up and updated her library card. And so it was just so many people in line for their library cards. Beta Stevens, my chief of staff, he signed up, got his library card. So it was just amazing event. And I think I see one other photo in the box down there. I'm not sure if that one has me standing with someone holding their medallion. I see it about. Oh, there he is, John Thomas, the last owner of WCIN, and his lovely wife, Mrs. Thomas, and got his medallion. But there'll be WCIN will have a star, and we finally got Mr. Thomas to smile. So you know we're doing good. He was smiling. So we're we're cutting the ribbon there. Our chair of the volunteer selection committee, Lincoln Ware, Mr. Kent Butts, who's on the committee. Of course, you see Paula over the library. And so we cut the ribbon for the exhibit. And you guys can go down to the main library on Vine Street. It's absolutely free. All this stuff is free. It's absolutely free. And we got more to come. Saturday, July 25th is the big event. They used to say on Fred Sammer, this is the big one. This is the big one. A big event. It's our 6th annual Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame induction ceremony and celebration. And what does that mean? Well, we're going to kick it off with a parade of stars. And we're asking everybody to wear white attire. And we'll be marching in. And this year it's called the Gold Star Parade of Stars. I love it. Thank you, Gold Star. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We line up at 11 and start marching. We marching in. And then in addition to that, we are honoring our honorees this year who will get a star is WCIN and Heatwave. Shout out to Procter & Gamble for sponsoring the stars. Everywhere else, you got to pay for the stars. Hollywood, you got to pay $85,000 to get a star. In Nashville, you got to pay for the star. If you nominate somebody in Nashville, you got to sign that you're going to buy the star. So here, I was blessed to go out and get Procter & Gamble through Damon Jones, and I've raised over $200,000 just in the stars. Just in the stars. And then, of course, raising money and partnering with the Urban League, raising money so the whole event is free. So that's, none of your property taxes out at no, we don't use none of that, so that the whole thing can be free. And I want to, so you got that 11 o'clock, we marching in. Okay. We're on Marion Way. We're putting in all white. We also our Second Wind will be performing live. They'll kick it off. Don Juan for Show will be playing and performing live as our celebrity DJ. Our national host, John Murray's coming back to be our national host of the event. Lincoln Ware and myself, we're going to help with the Gold Star Parade of Stars, leading people in. We're going to have Regina Bell will receive the Legacy Award for keeping Nancy Wilson's legacy alive and Peebo Bryson. But she's going to perform her own songs for free. We've got Shirley Murdoch, y'all. She is an inductee. She has a star down there. But Shirley Murdoch will be performing live. And yes, she'll be doing her songs. Okay. And we also have Midnight Star They will be performing for their 50th anniversary. 50th anniversary, Midnight Star. We are Midnight Star. And yeah, so that celebration. This is an indoor and outdoor event. Wear some shoes and be ready to dance. But we're wearing all white. And so this is July 25th. We march in at 11. We start at 12 with the induction, followed by the major celebration. So we wanted to say that. We want to thank all of our partners that we have that will be here. We've got Metro at AARP, Procter & Gamble, Gold Star, Chili. We have, of course, Hamilton County. That we build it. We will try to think who else. Oh, Kroger. And I'm trying to think who else is a Greater Cincinnati Foundation. And, of course, the Urban League of Southwestern Ohio. So I think I named all of them. If I missed somebody, I'll make sure that we'll be ready. All right. Now, I don't know if it's Father's Day weekend. And I'm not sure. We're going to try to get my dad back in the studio. But I'll ask you to give him a call. I'm not sure why he's not in the studio. Try to get him back in. But it is Father's Day weekend. Want to give a shout out to all the good fathers out there. Now, I don't want to hear about this one ain't doing it and that one ain't doing it. We ain't here. We're talking about the good ones, and they should be recognized. And there's a lot of great fathers out here. In the Knicks championship, what's really important, I saw a lot of fathers. They were showing Brunson MVP, and showed about his father and all that his father had gone through. And his father had been on this team and that team in the NBA, and he really looked up to his father. But he was really hurt. His father got cut by the Knicks. And he said he was hurt. He was hurt. And then he told his father he wanted to play ball. His father said, if you want to do it, I ain't forcing you to do it. But if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. And all of the workouts and morning workouts, late night workouts, and teaching him the game, and everybody saying he ain't going to make it. And even anything that he overcame, even the stuff that he overcame, it was just amazing. So one of the things that I think is so important is fathers. I'm trying to get everything together because we got technology going here. I think it's very important for us to recognize those fathers who have been sacrificing, and certainly my father is one that has sacrificed. And I think that's super important. So as we go into Father's Day weekend, a lot of fathers, you got to hold it down. You got to make a way out of no way. You got to be an advisor. You got to hold the family down. Some are single fathers who have fought to make sure that their children are taken care of single fathers that got custody of their children and raising them. We want to give a big shout out to all of you. And I want to tell you, as we go into the weekend, Silverton is having Silverton Day. I was with Mayor John Smith today, and he said, hey, this Saturday, we're doing it in Silverton. And I believe they have Second Wind is going to also perform. So I want to bring on my father, and we call him the GOAT of our family, greatest of all times, Dr. Stephen Reece, Sr.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And it's very thoughtful of you to think of me because that's a real honor when your children want to honor you and expose you. It makes a real statement as to your mission as a father of what to do, because you don't want to be in a position where your children say, I don't want any part of them. They never did anything for me. They never came around me, and I just don't want to see them. And I never wanted that to happen to me. So that's something that I really worked on and treasured, and in supporting of 3 children. A father has a tremendous responsibility. He has to bridge the gap between the kids getting educational skill in school and the spiritual mission that God has set out for your child. And as you well know, that we go all the way up, and some kids get straight A's, and once they get out in life, they cannot make it. And a father has to be able to navigate that. And I've had to work on that because I had 2 daughters and a son, and each one of them had their own talents, and each one of them had their own goals of what they wanted to do. At the same time, I had an overall goal of what I thought was best for the family as an entrepreneur. First, I wanted to make God first in the family. And then second, I wanted to make the environment in the family such that it would set the tone and the foundation for them to be as successful they are. So I had to introduce them and make sure that they were going to church, introduce them and let them know that what God had done for me. And if he done it for me, he can do it for them. And that he could do things that no one else could do. And that we ought to have a direct line of communications with him. And that's not debatable. That's very important. Because you will not have enough money to buy your way. And some people will say, well, you don't have the right color and all that crap. Uh, and that's not true, because God, everything that he makes is good. And he says that in the Bible. Everything I made and I developed was good. So that means that there's no curse on your life, and there's no curse on what you are about to do. And in doing that, it also puts a real test on the father, because he has to deal with sacrifice. He has to deal with motivation. He has to deal with mentoring. He has to deal with problem solving. He has to deal with how to stretch and budget, whether he wants to or not, if he's a real father. Because in my case, I was always the last person to be paid. I wanted to make sure that you all, as the children, had what you needed, and my wife had what she needed, and then I dealt with myself last. And I was willing to sacrifice. And you see other people who don't have that responsibility, or not carrying out that responsibility, having a good time, driving nice cars, going places, going on vacations and stuff. Well, maybe you can't go because you got 3 children and you want to send all 3 of them to college. And you know that you have to sacrifice to make sure that when the time comes, they will have an opportunity to go to college and to develop themselves. Or maybe they're in college and you have to send them some money to be successful. Uh, and maybe what they're in might cost some money. Maybe they might be in AU programs, which play and cost every weekend. You never know. And then they have their own problems. You don't want any of your kids to be isolated and dealing with their own personal problems where they cannot communicate with you. So I've tried to arrange and develop that, and make sure that I expose that, because my uncles exposed that to me when I came out of high school. And that made a big difference, because it's one thing to learn about American history and all that, but all that we know is not factual. And they were able to take me around to like places like Motown, and take me to Johnson Publishing, take me to the black colleges and all that. So I could see successful black people doing things and it could work. And then I had a Sunday school teacher that definitely stressed in the Bible, starting with Genesis, that we were not cursed by Ham. And that's the biggest lie I've been told. Well, you know, the blacks have been cursed. So we have to overcome and love ourselves. And you got to, they don't do that in school. They don't work with you about teaching your children how to love themselves. So you got to go in there and make sure that you motivate them and be an example that they love themselves and that what they're doing is well, because I'm in the advertising business, have been for years, and they're constantly selling images all the time, having you strive for things that you have not been blessed with. And that's not to be put down. Maybe John over here, he's been blessed to be an accountant. Maybe somebody over here been blessed to be a lawyer. Somebody over here be a dentist. Somebody in marketing. Somebody in politics. Somebody is a preacher. But God has given each one of us a mission and a gift. And what you're searching for is that gift. Because once you develop that gift, you can do that. Now, the sacrifice, we said, well, if they go to school, no, school is not going to do that. God Himself has given that to the family. And that is a responsibility that I had to deal with. I had to take criticism. I had to take people saying that it couldn't be done. I had people telling me I was too young. What am I trying to do? I've had people say, well, you ain't white, all those things. And that's not knocking it. I never got bitter about any of that. I just kept focusing and putting my head down and trying to move forward and do that and help you all make great choices. And my goal was for each one of you to be much more successful than me. I'm just the foundation. And you all are the step for the foundation. So when I wanted to be an entrepreneur and I had to put up my own money and just about everything I did, I had to invest myself, put money into it myself. I'm a first generation of those who have really been somewhat successful. I had developed a building from 1988 to 2015, Integrity Hall, Reece and Reece. We never had nobody in our family do that. And over on the other side, Grandmaster, started at the bottom and became the Grandmaster, Masons all over. We never had anybody in there to do that. Somebody come out and run for Congress and work for the mayor. We never had anybody in that. But those were just steps for me to learn what it was all about so I could lay the foundation. I wanted to play sports, and God provided me an opportunity in sports, but He made me focus on it so I could teach my son, who is now teaching his grandson, who is at Texas A&M. And did a great job last year at LSU and transferred there. And then my granddaughters, they are uh, great athletes, but they're good academically, and they'll be going to college in about 2 years. And one of my grandsons is creatively over on animation. I used to study the Walt Disney thing, and here he is trying to get a degree in that. And then my presence was important. I quit working on a lot of committees. I was on every committee you could think of in Cincinnati, Chamber of Commerce and this group and that group. And I came home one day and seemed like I was sitting on the side of the bed and somebody said, "What are you doing all this for?" And so you need to be at your children's baseball, basketball practice. You need to be at their dance practice. You need to be taking them and developing them and going and being supportive. So a lot of times I would be sitting up at your activities and there wouldn't be that many parents present, but I would be present. And you all knew that I was there and watching it, and any information I had, I passed on. And my thing was, I won't be able to pass along what Rockefeller passed along to his children, but I will be able to pass along much more in terms of wisdom. God has given me wisdom, and the wisdom that I have to be able to pass it on. Now, you don't have to use the wisdom. You got wisdom too. You have to get my wisdom and then listen and get your wisdom. And if you put the two together, you'll be successful, just like you've been over 20 years in politics. You did much more in politics than I did. My son has done much more in the sports and basketball coaching and winning the state championships and AU that one of the top AU coaches in there. And my daughter, she's all over recreation. Started down at part time and now an executive there in recreation, and then been trained by Federated Department Stores. You know, they've gone much further than I have. But it's a lonely process. Uh, it is one that requires the father to pray. And many times I go to the table and I'm eating cereal when I would love to go and eat bacon and eggs. I would love to go and eat a steak. I would love to go, and I look in my pocket and Lord and behold, I don't have enough money to do it because I got to make sure that everybody's got theirs. And if somebody's got to take a beating, let me take it for them and understand and try to dissect it, to pass on that information.
Yeah.
So,
Dr. Reece, as we're going into Father's Day, yeah, put your camera back. Can you hear me?
yes, I hear you.
All right. Yep. Keep your camera back. Keep it back a little bit. As we're going into Father's Day, let's talk a little bit about you gave great principles for fathers and what a good father, particularly a Black father, has to go through. Let's talk about what people are seeing right now. The New York Knicks, they end up winning. Spike Lee's been at it for a long time. But let's talk about that father-son, the Brunsons. And they said, like you just said, the father kept getting cut. His son, he poured into his son. They kept saying his son wasn't good enough. His son is right-handed. He trained him to be left-handed because he knew it's harder to guard a left-handed person. What have you seen? You've been watching the series. You're big in sports, have a big career in the sports. Talk about that when we see fathers like him, Deion Sanders, and of course, my brother, Coach Reece, father and sons, where they got the athletes that have achieved.
Well, first of all, I want to commend them because there's a myth. Whenever we move in and start helping our children, something's wrong with that relationship. But when other groups in our society do things for their family, they're praised. They're talking about legacy. They're talking about them working together. And then I want to thank the children for listening and working hard for the parents, because as as soon as they start moving, well, you need to get rid of your father. You probably could do more than if your father wasn't with you. I am extremely proud of the Bronsons, him as a coach, and him once again his son. He was on the Knicks team when the Knicks team lost to San Antonio, and here come his son. All the stuff that he had taught him, all the stuff that he had showed him, all the stuff that he had watched his father go through, he kept it within himself and kept developing, and now he is the MVP. And today in his parade, man, the people were just crying and shouting and screaming for him and all over the things. And they said he couldn't do it because he was too small. They said he couldn't do it because he couldn't do this. He got traded from Dallas to New York. And I mean, it's setback time. And it's great. And then to see him turn to his dad, and man, and the way they were hugging and kissing, And he said, Dad, thank you. This is what we need to see. And that all dads are not out there walking the streets and doing crazy stuff. And a lot of dads got a lot of skill and a lot of ability to do that. And I appreciate him. Deion Sanders, look at the beating he took. And his son had to take a Shador, man. That was phenomenal. He could not have gone through what he went through if his father had not been there and trained him and developed him to go through that craziness that Cleveland went through, taking him through. And and then he stayed close to the Bible. What God's gonna do. This. Wait a minute. This is what God. That's not taught in school. That's not taught over there. And what his father showed him was things that they don't teach us at the university. And at the university, teach us what somebody else has done already. This stuff he's going through is now, and it's different, and it's a different situation. And thing LeBron James is trying to do with his son, come on. He had heart problems, and
Yeah,
come.
he had a heart attack.
He had
and,
a heart attack.
And he had to instill confidence back with him. I'm sure there's a lot that he has to deal with his son.
Yes, and then his son says, "I want to play basketball." His daddy said, "Well, while I'm playing, son, I'm going to have you out on the court playing and help you." And that's what we got to do. We've got to pass it along because God did that all the way through the Bible. He passed it along and he brought people along to help. And father and son. And we talk about God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And here we are, we running. We don't want to, they're mad. Oh man, you want to get the media mad. You show up, man, and let Dad show up. It
Yeah,
must be a conflict. Let's call it.
I take a beating ever since I was little about about having a father. I got a beating in schools. I got a beating in media. Oh, you can't think. I got a beating every which way, and so that's why I can really have understanding with what Shador and Deion Sanders and when you talk about the Brunson family, when you talk about Brunson, he keeps achieving all this stuff, and they still say you ain't no good. He keep getting all the awards, and they still say you're not good enough, and it's just a constant beating when you have a strong Black father. It is a beating. I still get beat. They still want to beat me. They want it to the point where they don't even want me to be seen with my father. And, at the end of the day, when it's all over, the titles, the accolades, even the money, when it's all over, in the Bible, it says, honor thy parents. So your mother and your father, so your days could be long, but you come out not to honor your mother and your father. And it is, I took a beating. I took a beating in high school. I took a beating in college with the college coach. I took a beating when I came out, win elections. I take a beating. I still take a beating to this day. And when you start thinking about, I start to see Deion, and even from here, McBride, you were his mentor, and his son is a New York Knicks champion. But you talked about how he couldn't even get an internship, and he was one of the top players, Walt McBride, when he was in college.
Tears almost came to my eyes today when New York, just thousands of people in the streets celebrating their victory, and the son got out of the truck, got his father out the truck, and gave his father the trophy and told him, "You carry the trophy and walk with us." And all the guys were so happy, and he was so happy. He walked. He was holding the I'm talking about the trophy. He said, "Dad, you are the one that carried the trophy." Now, maybe the newspaper editor don't like it. Maybe the TV people don't like it. But God looks down on that and says, my son, my son, my son, and blessed them. That's why they were able to win after 53 years of not being able to win and having some great players, but they never could put it together. And my thinking is that when you see that, and you see that happens, and they start pounding on you, dad has to step. Child doesn't understand. Why am I taking this beating? Why are these people against me? Why are these people setting up these roadblocks? Why are these people trying to label me? They don't understand that. That's enough to give them a nervous breakdown. And I'm saying dad has to come in there and fight, not just in the community. He got to fight at home, teaching them and strengthening them. Let's get in that book, let's get in that Bible, let's go to church, and then then talk out this problem. That's what I talked about, self-confidence. That's what I said about self-confidence. That's why it's so important. And that's why Jesus, God set it up where Jesus didn't go to the cross in some yard where only 10 people could see it. He wanted the whole world to see that he put his son on the cross. And his son withstood all the negative stuff. I mean, all the way to the end. And here he was going to save all of mankind. And God showed him. They spit on him. They did everything, Lisa. And what I'm saying is that black kids, and you got them in the Walk of Fame, they come up and they dance and they do everything. Can't get why Hall of Fame? Because these people have went years without any recognition. These people have gone years. They done been all over the country selling records and tapes and everything, but never anything at home. And the same thing you've done. I mean, I'm happy about you being elected, and I want to thank the people for electing you. But what's more important to me is that God looks down and says, Alicia, did you do anything in there? I ain't interested in you, county commissioner. Did you take the position and do something for the people? And that's what you got to stay focused on. And fathers have to, many times, because it's lonely when you start trying to do the right thing. It's lonely when you start trying to succeed. It's lonely when you start trying to do the right stuff. Your teachers are gone. Where's those teachers? This group is gone. This group, they don't want to be bothered with you. They don't call you. They don't invite you to nothing. They don't give you no awards. What's going on? And I'm hustling. Dad has to come in and explain it. Here's what's happening, baby. And this is the route you take. And here's what you go. Because remember, we came in with nothing. And we're going to leave out of here with nothing. I learned that as a Mason. When I went to Grandmaster, and I went to a lot of funerals all over the state. People were supposed to be everything. And give it just briefly. I went to one funeral, guy had so many titles, they're ridiculous. And when he got to the funeral, he had 15 people from his family. He had 5 people from his job that came to the funeral. Another lady over here, she was just a cook and helped people in the community and did things and tried to help people. And you could not get in the church. You could not get in the church. People were crying and falling out and fainting. I said, goodness, now this guy had all these titles, never missed a day at work. He walked away from his children and everything, and nobody was there with him. And then this lady over here done took care of her kids, baking pies and doing all that to try to send them to school and do the right thing and teach their kids and everything. And you can't get in the church. Now, which one of them was successful? There was a lady who took time out for the family, took time out to show the kids, and took time out to give them their best. And that's what our ancestors did. They worked in the fields. They got beat. They was mistreated. But they said, I'm going to keep working because my daughter's going to be a lawyer one day. My son's going to be a businessman one day. My son's going to be this. My daughter's going to be that. Maybe I won't make it, baby, but they going to make it. And that's our job. And see, we can't step back because, and they don't just beat the kids. They try to beat the parents.
Right.
But we ain't going to get a parents. I tell you what, well, Steve Reece, since he, with his daughter, don't make sure that he don't have nothing. Make sure he don't get no job. Make sure he don't have no contracts. Make sure he don't get a thing. Make sure leave him out in the cold so he can just die off, and he cannot pass the information to Alicia. And it's nothing, no more than that. And I'm just saying that being
that's
a father,
the same thing, like you said, with and at first I thought, like, gosh, is it just my family? Is it just me? But when I'm starting to see these things, like you said, that Deion Sanders, the NFL, they try to humiliate his son, destroy him. Deion even got up and said, Lord, take me on the cross. Don't put my son on the cross. It was just unbelievable. And like you said, the thing with Brunson, they thought his son just kept saying, he ain't enough. He ain't enough. He ain't enough. And like you said, but when you keep your eye on God, and it's a blessing to have a strong, when I say strong, I mean strong, because my father has been through it. He's going to be nice. I'm not going to he ain't going to tell all that. We only got a few more minutes. But my father, they have taken him through everything. They told me to get away from my father. They told my father to step away from his kids. I mean, it has been brutal. But the funny thing is, you always keep instilling in us about God and the Bible. If we come to you about anything, and and I don't come to my dad just about no politics. I talk about just real life. And I remember stuff you always would tell me, don't give up, Alicia. God is the master planner. I always remember that. You'll tell me, I say, well, I don't have the resources. I don't have this. Everybody got that, and I'm never going to have it because bottom line, they not going to let nobody like me be able to have the resources. And you said, I'm going to tell you what they say in the Bible. What did God tell Moses? What's in your hand? And those are the things. There are a lot of lessons that you have given us as a family. I see my brother implementing things. I see my sister, work ethic, my brother getting up every day. They would say, oh, your son, my nephew, Jalen ain't going to do it, and Jalen ain't going to do that. And he comes out with a major school, LSU. He goes over to Hawaii, get MVP. He's now headed to Texas A&M. But they said he wasn't going to never make it. But he get up every day, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Where did my brother get that? With my dad. He got me up every day, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, teaching us the game and never giving up on us as a family. So we're wrapping up. It's Father's Day. I wanted my dad to give y'all some of his wisdom as he does as a father, as a strong Black father. What do we say? Because no one gave him anything. It's from the bottom up.
working every day, trying to stretch what I have and share it because I realize I can't take it with me. When God says, Steve Reece, your time is up, I can't take any of this stuff with me. So I'm just trying to work and pass it on and set the foundation. And I'm not afraid of anybody except God himself.
Yeah, that's what they say on the documentary. Tim Burke said, I don't think your dad's afraid of anybody except God. And that's rare because we got people that fold quick, talk big and fold quick. And so, again, we got to have the wisdom and pass the baton for the next. So thank y'all, everybody. It is Father's Day weekend. Enjoy the fathers. Until next time, everybody. The hot sauce. Peace.
Thank you.